Imagine the learned Mary Allher. She spent her life in black and white laboratories studying neurophysiology in red color. Now she knows this. The color is so good that litera memorize all the information with him. Connected, she knows the wavelengths of all colors, knows about the psychology of red, about which neurons transmit signals from retina to the brain, what happens in this time in the brain itself and in general, what hormonal, electrically and mechanically, and changes occur in the body and in around the world when perceiving red colors in general. About the red color, she remembers everything, but what happens if Maria, she will see the red color in reality, she will recognize something new, something special. Whether knowledge will be in this experience, there is something irreducible. What she studied while sitting in black and white room, this thought experiment, philosophy, is called Mary's room, and we will leave the answer to it as a philosopher. But I want to turn this question straight on the contrary. What if Mary saw all her life red color and then suddenly started write down and organize your observations about him? Will she understand? It's better if she knows something additional, whether her experience will be filled some special red understanding. I think that yes. For example, Explorer Guide Share Book Author. Through the mirror of the tongue, why on others' languages the world looks different. Spent amazing experiment. He grew his daughter, trying never to sharpen focus on the color of the sky, and then one day asked her what daughter knew the answer for her. The sky was colorless. In the end, she still managed to assign him blue, but it took some. There were no efforts in the ancient Greeks either. Homer considered the blue of the sea a color, dark wine, and apparently seriously in his works have other colors mentioned hundreds of times. Blue was never invented. Did the Greeks see the sea differently than we do? Scientists Jules Davidoff decided to find out. He went to visit the Himba tribe. Those natives, blue and green, denoted by one word. Okay, now, mystery, which one do you think rectangles is different from others? Obviously this one, but the Himba people determine it much slower. Takes much longer. Look and reflect on each cube with a different why, because they don't have a special word for it to tell the blue from the green. The experiment was repeated many times including with Russian speakers. You see, in our language has a special word for designations, light blue, and it turns out that we can distinguish better shades of blue than English speakers. The inhabitants of Altai are also better than the inhabitants of China distinguish some shades, because in Altaic more color categories in general. Language affects how we see colors, we understand space, and even as we draw objects to you, and so it's only a slight exaggeration would say that the description of the world is almost as important as the world itself in some cases, even though we interact with the thing it tells us, completely inaccessible. For example, our own experience, like pygmies, for which sky and grass of the same color we can distinguish anger at others from anger at ourselves. We do not understand what behind our own actions, what feelings we live where we are, make mistakes, what makes our life better, and do not even try to consider shades of our own mood. We know ourselves. That's why the last pack almost every day I at least something I write in my diary to see myself. Only if you describe yourself, and that confirmed by science describing own experiences and events, man forms a consistent burrow. He has a typhus about himself, idea of who he is, lives, and what he wants. He gains everything. Greater self-confidence grows it. His productivity is uncontrollable. Emotions become more and more meaningful and understandable. Language previously closed from perception black. The holes of the inner world are illuminated bright. Flashlight. Imagine that you will never saw their reflection, and then look at yourself in the mirror. At this the moment something happens completely unusual. You seem to look behind, backstage, also from the diary of this mirror. For the inner world we become, it is clear that the existence of which we even did not suspect. That is why our stress levels fall, which is displayed in brain activity, and decreased levels. We get rid of stress hormones, anxious thoughts, depressive symptoms, coping with trauma, and recover faster from psychiatric illnesses. In really hard to believe but simple, writing down your life on a piece of paper help us heal faster. Physical injury as well as reduce Iraq arthritis, asthma symptoms improve, blood pressure, lung function, liver and immune system health. Yes, it sounds like a fantasy, but still science fiction. However, I'm personally interested in productivity abilities that also grow. For example, in a 2001 paper, scientists forced the test subjects for a week, keep a diary, and then measured them. Working memory turned out to be more. In other words, it works better. This has been confirmed in other works, and no wonder our head is constantly full of unrecycled rubbish. When we empty it on paper, head, your memory is freed no more, holds an infinite number of facts, feelings, events, plans and emotions. Now they are on paper and you can think about something important. That's why the diary keeper improves his grades, miss work less often and faster, recovering from difficult life circumstances. In this context, no wonder Da Vinci, Einstein, Mark Twain, Marie Curie, Churchill, Benjamin Franklin, Darwin and more number of great people for diary. It is the most powerful practice of self-knowledge, which I know. Okay, how to keep a diary ideally? Of course you need to take a pen every day and paper and write something for 15 minutes, more emotionally vivid. Describe in depth and detail experience and conclusions from it, the better. However, we know what? The habit is very difficult to maintain for a long time, so I'll say so good diary it is. The one that you lead for example, to me, convenient to write on the computer because quickly typing a letter by hand rather slows down. I don't write every day and do not force themselves to express emotions, but I strive to do all this. Sometimes my diary is 100 words, sometimes 10,000, sometimes I talk to him, sometimes composing your schedule, and if I'm too lazy to type, I include. Sometimes I use compound sentences with beautiful linguistic turns, and sometimes my diary is like financial statements. The most important thing here is you get your inner world inside out and put in front of me so I find myself. I hope it works and good luck to you.